I am back with another video, and today is a success story of how I manifested my apartment with 2 evictions on my record. And yeah, so I'm going to be talking about that. I think Neville always talks about, well, when he was talking about getting out of the army, he was saying, like, when he was initially denied to get out of the army, he was saying that that was the decision of the world of Caesar, and that he continued to go into his imagination and seeing himself having what he wanted, right? So basically the world of Caesar is that 3D answer that says you can't have this, you can't do this because of these things, you cannot have this thing, right? But we are above the world of Caesar. Hi, Jacarius, I'm happy to see you too. All right. So guys, I do have coaching links in the description. I have guided revision scenes, guided sat scenes that I can create for you. And yeah, so let's just get into the video really quick. So let's start with why I have these evictions, because I'm not just an irresponsible person that doesn't pay bills. And unfortunately, where I live, and just disclaimer before I even get into the story, you guys, I'm not going to be saying the name of the apartment because I don't, we'll get into that. But where I live, it doesn't matter if you live in like the hood or you live wherever. Like, if you have an eviction, it's an automatic denial. They will not rent to you at all, right? That's just what it is. And you guys, I looked at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of apartments, right? So here's how these evictions got here, right? And this, like, I'm telling this part because sometimes life happens and it's fucked up because people, like, it affects your whole life. These one things can affect your whole entire life and prevent you from having a home to stay in, you know? Excuse me. So the first eviction on my record was when I was with my ex, not my SP, but my ex before him. We actually, like, we had an apartment together or whatever. And I left the apartment, but he was still in the apartment. He ended up getting evicted out of the apartment after I was long gone. But because my name was on the lease, hey Thunder. Oh, your commenting was stuck? That's weird. I don't know what's up with YouTube. But yes, he so basically my ex, he got evicted, or I don't know what he did to the apartment. I don't even know, but it came onto my record because my name was still on the lease, even though I had long been gone out of the apartment after whatever happened, right? Then the next eviction, when I moved out of that apartment, I moved into another apartment. This apartment was my other success story of manifesting my apartment, because at that time I had, like, my credit score was like in 400s. And I'll link that success story in here for you guys too. Actually, I'm gonna put this on a playlist of success stories and I'll link that for you guys. So I moved into this other apartment, and this apartment was kind of like in the hood a little bit. And when I moved out, like, I paid my rent, I paid everything. The day that I was supposed to be getting my full deposit back because I kept the apartment in perfect condition. And the day that I moved out, they were like, well, you didn't give us a 30-day notice, so we're charging you 2 months rent. And I was just like, what the fuck? But the 2 months rent that they were charging me was literally exactly what they owed me in the deposit, because I had put 2 months rent down as a deposit. But they never gave me my deposit back, even though they said that they would. So that also went on my record. And I don't know if it's on there as an eviction or whatever, but you can't, basically, when you're applying for apartments, I don't know if it's like that in other states, but here you can't have anything negative. It's like automatic, like, no, it doesn't even matter, like money, credit, none of that. Like, it's an automatic no. And so I had not 1, but 2 of these on my record, right? So the first thing that I started to do was to dispute it. I did so much, you guys. Like, I disputed them. I started working with this thing. Like, I researched this thing. It's called Second Chance Apartments. You guys, don't use them. It's literally like a scam. Like, basically they said, you know, we have apartments that we work with, and you know, you pay us. I paid them $200, and they were like, we're going to send you a list of apartments that we work with, and then we basically advocate on your behalf to the apartment to get them to let you rent there. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. Excuse me. So I do that, And basically when they're like, I'm emailing them like, okay, these are the apartments that I want you to look into for me. Every single apartment I sent to them, they would basically tell me like, oh, well, we can't get in contact with anybody there. We don't have any contacts there. And I'm like, if you don't have any contacts there, if you can't contact anyone there, why are they on your list as the list of apartments that you work with, right? And it's just crazy and so fucked up, because obviously somebody is coming to you that's in a kind of desperate situation, and you're taking their money and taking advantage of them and wasting their time. So the second chance apartments, you guys, it's a flop, it's a scam, don't use that shit. So I did that, but even through all of this, you guys, I was really trusting God. So let me just insert here my mentality about this, right? Because you guys that are like watching my videos, y'all know I've been through so much this year, okay? And so I basically had my roommate, and my roommate, we just started like kind of bumping heads. We weren't getting along. And I decided, I was like, hey, S-Rose, I was like, I'm gonna get my own place. And I'm knowing still that I have these evictions on my apartment, and I didn't want anyone to sign for me. I could have, asked people to sign for me, but I didn't want to do that. I was like, no, if anything is possible, it is possible for me to get this apartment in my own name, and that is what I'm going to do. So what I did, my technique that I did to manifest this apartment was the good old stat scene. And I think another thing that helped me too was that I've done this so fucking many times, you guys. I have manifested, like, this might be one of the best things I manifested the house that my boyfriend and I, or my ex or my SP, whatever the fuck, the house that he bought, I manifested that in 2 days, you guys, which also be on the playlist. The apartment that we had before then, I manifested. The apartment I had before then, I manifested. The situation with my roommate, I manifested. So I knew in my head that regardless to what obstacle was in front of me, I knew that I could get it, right? And I will say, in every single apartment success story, you guys, I did it with SATs, except for the hood apartment that I was talking about. Anyways, so my SAT scene was, I said, okay, let me just see myself walking into my apartment, putting my groceries down, because that implies that I own the apartment. So I saw myself going in, turning the key. I could feel myself turning the key. I could feel myself holding groceries in my hand and setting them down on the kitchen counter. And I would look over into my living room and to kind of see, like, through the windows that it was raining outside. That was my SAT scene that I kept doing over and over and over as I fell asleep, right? And what happened is what usually happens. This is my experience with SATs. When I feel like I've had a very successful SAT session, and this is just my experience, you guys, so don't take this like, oh, that doesn't mean it's not working. Like, this is just for me. I do kind of go into the Sabbath very quickly, right? Like, I go into, it's like this feeling of it's done, even though nothing in front of me has shifted, even though everything in front of me looks the way that it looks. It's like this knowing that it's literally done. Another thing that I did was I thought from living in the apartment. When I was driving home to my roommate's house, I would pretend that I was driving home to my apartment. When I started looking for stuff to put in my apartment. I'm gonna make my apartment all pink, you guys. So you guys will see that as it unfolds. Because it's funny, just side note, when I was with my SP and we were living together, I would always think about how I would love to have like an all pink house, right? And I like just everything in the fucking place like pink. And I was like, well, that's not gonna happen because, I'm with my man and I'm not gonna have him in an all pink house. But now here I have my own place and I can make it all pink. So I'm super excited to do that. So I started looking at, on Amazon and just like all this stuff that I wanted, all the stuff I was going to put in my apartment, all this stuff. And all of this before I had any type of, there was no anything, you guys. And this is what really walking by faith is, you guys. This is why I harp so much on you guys to say not to worry about the 3D, because if I was worried about the 3D, there was nothing yielding. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing showing me like that this shit was going to happen for me, bruh. Like nothing. When I tell you, y'all, not one eviction, 2, okay? 2 evictions. And like my FICO score is like pretty like decent, but my other scores they're not bad, but they're like these apartments here in Atlanta, Georgia, y'all, they want your apartment, they want your credit like really, really good. They want you to make like they just want all this crazy shit. So anyways, so I did my SAT scene. I'm continuing to think from having my apartment. I knew that it was mine. I knew that it was just a matter of it unfolding for me, right? So like I said, now back to what I'm doing physically. I started to dispute my stuff. And I basically explained in all my disputes what happened and all these things. And my disputes, the one that it came off of was Transunion. And as I'm looking, like I was looking at people, like how do people get approved for apartments when they have evictions on their record? And somebody was saying, well, you just figure out what apartment, and this can help some of you guys too. What apartment, like not all of them basically pull from all three credit bureaus. Most of them choose one that they pull from. So if you are able to get it wiped from your record on one, then you are able to, you can get approved that way. So I was like, cool, maybe this is my way. And I want to assert here too, you guys, that I was not attached to any way for it to, like, I wasn't attached to it being, I wasn't attached to, okay, this dispute has to work. And if it doesn't work, then it's not going to happen for me, right? I was just doing what I was doing. But I knew regardless of any fucking thing that I was going to have what I wanted because I had already seen it. Okay, you guys? And I think that's the powerful thing about SATs is when you really, really, really feel yourself there and you're seeing what you're seeing. It's as if, like Neville says, you're making there, here, and the future now. So you've already truly, consciously been to that place. I was like, I've already seen it. And I could feel it as done within me. So it didn't matter what happened or whatever. So what actually ends up happening is it actually comes off of my Transunion. It comes off, it goes as a closed account. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was so happy. I'm so grateful, right? So fast forward, like I'm trying to call different apartments, see who they report from, and most of them are reporting from Experian, which it was still on my Experian whatever. And so I was like, okay, so I end up coming to this apartment. And when I got there, well, first of all, actually, I went to an apartment before here. And I remember that day, because that apartment at that time was like my first pick. And I was like, I want the person, like I'm manifesting the person to be very helpful, because what I wanted to do was to explain my situation to the leasing agent, so that even if they couldn't help me, that they could direct me on my way, like tell me things that I can maybe know to help myself, right? So I was like, I want this person to be super like helpful. And I'm just imagining the person that I'm gonna be with, right? I get to the apartment. And the apartment that I went to, the girl was very sweet, but she wasn't what I was imagining at all. She didn't even come with me on the tour. Like I did a self tour. And when I went in there was literally I went to tour and there was literally a roach like on the back, like on his back in the bathroom. My phone's dying, my bad, y'all. But there was literally a roach on its back in the bathroom. And I was like, okay, so this is a clear sign to me that this is not the apartment for me, right? This is a clear sign. And I didn't even love the apartment. Like it wasn't spacious enough. So I was like, cool, that's not the place for me. So what I did that night was I revised it. I revised that she was super helpful to me, that she was everything that I wanted her to be, right? So then fast forward, I come to this place, and the lady that I get this time is super nice. She's just like what I saw in my imagination, right? Just like what I was creating. Like she was super nice, super helpful. Like, cause at first I walked in and everybody in the office was kind of like, I don't know, like kind of rude. Like, I mean, not rude, but just not friendly, not welcoming, not anything. Like they were just like, do you have an appointment? Do you know who your appointment's with? I was like, no, like you don't ever know who your appointment's with. You just come in and you fucking take who's there, you know? And she's like, well, you can sit over there. I'm like, okay. So I did that. And then my lady comes in and she's like, hey, yada, yada, like I'll come and, whatever. So we're talking and I'm just already getting a really good vibe from her, right? And so we get into the apartment, and when we're in the apartment, I love it. It's nice. I like it. It's like the best one that I've seen. And so I tell her, I'm like, look, I start to explain to her my situation. I'm like, look, I have these evictions on my record. This is what happened. And, it's off my Transunion, but I don't know who you guys report from, because up to this point, I hadn't, like all the apartments that I had called, nobody had gotten their report from Transunion. And she was like, that's perfect. We get it from Transunion. So that's perfect, right? So I was like, okay, cool. Awesome, right? So we go back to the apartment, whatever. And what's funny is that morning I had gotten an email from Transunion and they were saying something about my accounts, but I was like, what accounts are they talking about? They already took it off. So I didn't even read the email, right? So we go to the office. She's like, here's what we'll do. I'll pre-qualify you. So we'll just like, we're not gonna, I think it was like, basically just to see if I would get approved. It wasn't the full like application. It was just like to see if I would like pre-qualify me basically. And so she's doing that. And while she's doing that, I open up the email and it's basically Transunion telling me that the stuff is coming back on my account. Like that, I don't know if they just removed it while I was disputing it and then made their decision and put it back on, right? So I'm finding this out as I'm not only there, but I just told this lady that it's not on my Transunion report. So in that moment, obviously I felt a little bit like deflated, but I still didn't care because I was like, bruh, I already seen it. So if it's not this place, it's another place. And that was my faith. My faith was really unshakable. And I will say, you guys, in every instance, it was like that. You know, I would say, I mean, there was definitely times in each time of me manifesting a house or apartment or whatever, where I felt really discouraged because the thing about it, guys, is when it comes to an apartment or a place to live, you need that shit. You know what I mean? That's not something you just, you know, whatever. This is something you really fucking need, you know, or you're not going to have a place to live. I don't have any family here. I'm literally the only person here. I have my best friend, but she's not in a situation where I could come and like live with her. You know what I mean? And I have my SP, but obviously we're going through what we're going through. So I couldn't really live with him, you know? So I needed this shit to work out. But I was like, if it's not this, it's going to be something else. And I know that because I've seen it. So it doesn't matter. This shit doesn't matter. But I was a little bit deflated. So she comes back with the report and she says exactly what I just saw. She's like, look, it's still here on your report. And she's like, you know, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to go stay with somebody? Like, how are you going to figure this out? And I was like, I don't know. You know, I'm just going to keep praying because that's all I've been doing is just praying. And she just says to me, she's like, I'm just going to help you. She's like, I'm just going to help you. I'm going to make sure you get in. So don't worry about it. Just give me all your information and all this stuff. Send me all your stuff to my email. And I'm just going to make sure you get in. I was like, what the fuck? Because in my mind, you guys, I didn't even know that they could do that. I didn't even know that the leasing agents have that ability because you're going through a system. You're literally getting approved through a system. So I didn't even know that they had the ability to do that. And I don't know that all of them do, but this lady had the pull and had the ability and had the wherewithal or whatever to be able to do that for me. And that's what she did. And she got me approved and you know, a lot of other things happened, but we won't get into all of that. But yeah, I got approved and I moved in yesterday and now I'm here in my own place within my name, just the same way that I wanted it to be because I didn't want anyone to sign for it. Because I will say this, you guys, it is so beneficial to have have something of your own. Because when you have to answer to somebody else, or when you have somebody else who is over you, you know, especially when it comes to your place to live, that can just tell you, oh, I don't want you to be here anymore. You got to get out. Or somebody that can just tell you, you know, kind of like bully you or treat you wrong or treat you bad, like because they know that they have the upper hand. You know what I mean? Like, have something of your own, you guys, no matter what. Okay. Hi, Alexis. Yes, he says you have an eviction and you were worried. See, and that's the thing, you guys, that's the decision of the world of Caesar. Like Neville said, when he's trying to get out the army, that's the decision of the world of Caesar. The world of Caesar is going to tell you, you have an eviction, so you can't, you're just going to have somebody sign for you, or you're going to have this. But we are above the world of Caesar, you guys. We are above that. And just literally continue to tell yourself and to remind yourself, you guys, please let this and all, like I said, I'm going to find that, I'm going to link this to the success story so you guys can watch, because I've done this shit over and over and over again, you guys. It works every single time, no matter the obstacle, okay? you can have that. And it's just really about having that mentality that I can have it regardless, because we count ourselves out a lot of times before we're actually counted out. We tell ourselves no before even the world of Caesar tells us no, because we're thinking something is impossible. But nothing is impossible to God. And that is the mentality to have when you're going into something that is difficult, you guys. So fuck these second chance apartment scammer people. Fuck all this shit. Use your faith, use your mind, you guys, and really believe in that, okay? Let me look into your comments really quick before I hop off. Jacaria says, I have to stop procrastinating and get in your sats. Yes, girl, definitely do it. Definitely do it. Yes, Thunder, that's so funny. She says, all things are possible, so your SP could love the pink. Yes, and it's funny because what's funny is my other best friend, she also loves pink, and her boyfriend also loves pink. So it's both of their favorite colors. So their whole apartment is like pink. But yes, my SP, he's not into he's not into that. And that's okay. Is that what you mean by attachment to the outcome? Just knowing that it's done? Because I don't get how you can't get attached to the outcome if it's what you want. Okay. So no, it's not that I'm not, okay. It's not that I'm not attached to the outcome, right? Obviously I need the outcome. It's that I'm not attached to how it unfolds, right? It's the how that I'm not attached to. So again, let's take Neville again, getting out of the Army. When he first went and appealed to get out, the person told him no. So if Neville was saying, well, I mean, and obviously there's only one way for you to get out the Army that way. Either you have to be injured, killed or something like that, or, honorably discharged. So if Neville went and got that, and then the person tells him no, and that was, if he was thinking, if he had all his eggs in the basket of, this is the only way that it's going to happen, he would have said, well, he told me no, so that's, it's not going to happen for me, right? If I had been attached to, well, the only way for it to happen for me is to get all this stuff wiped off of my credit, if when I found out that none of it got wiped off of my credit, I would still be, I would be like, well, fuck, it's not going to happen, right? So it's not being attached to the outcome of it happening, but it's about not being attached to the how of it unfolding, being open to how it unfolds. And really where that comes from is the conviction that it's already done, okay? It's already done. I'm going to say this. This is, I think it's Neville and or Joseph Murphy, but they talk about watching a movie. Like, let's say you come into the movie, you see the end, you see the hero is victorious, they're celebrating him, it's amazing. And then you say, wow, that was great. I want to watch it from the beginning. You get to the climax of the movie, you get to the middle of the movie after watching it from the beginning, and you see the hero severely injured, or he's getting his ass beat, or maybe he's even dead, right? It appears that he's dead. It appears he's never going to be seen again. You won't be really emotionally jarred by that because you've already seen the end, right? And that's the mentality to have when it comes to manifesting, you guys. You might be at the climax. You might be seeing all the shit blow up in your face. You might be seeing everything not work the fuck out or whatever the fuck. But remember, and this is where Sachs comes in, that you've seen the end though. I've already seen the end. I've already seen it work out. I've already seen the hero be celebrated. So although it looks hopeless right now, I know that he somehow comes through it. I don't know how. I don't need to know how though, because I've seen the end. And that's what I meant by that. I can't, Thunder. Thunder said I should have said to the rude lady, bruh, don't be talking to God like that. You are fucking hilarious. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for your congratulations. Thunder says, I'm still doing this with my body. It matters what I see. It's hard, but faith is a hard thing to build, but can be done, obviously. Yes, Thunder, you got it, dude. You already got it. Thunder says, how can I get over my fear of flying? So Thunder, just imagine yourself on the plane, like enjoying the ride. I love flying so much, so that's so crazy, but just imagine yourself really relaxed. Like maybe imagine yourself, like instead of like how maybe if you're like usually flying and you're like freaking out, you know what I mean? Imagine yourself like super relaxed. Like imagine yourself maybe like having like a glass of wine or, just like enjoying the scenery outside, like just feeling yourself really relaxed. Or you can even just tell yourself that you're now the version of yourself that's never been like, I would even revise that. Like, you've never been afraid. You've always loved flying. Flying is like your favorite fucking thing to ever do, you know, like something like that. Darling, oh, that's so cute. I love that. Darling, SATS is not good for me. Any other technique? Okay. So darling, what I will say is that you don't have to do SATS. Something else that you can do is the lullaby method. Cause I know, sometimes like it's hard to create a scene. So you can just tell yourself an affirmation as you fall to sleep, like for whatever it is. Like, let's say if you were manifesting apartment, you can just say, I love my new apartment as you're falling asleep, or I really manifested my perfect apartment as you're falling asleep, and just, you know, repeat as you're falling asleep. You can do it like that. But darling, it's not really important. You can do any technique that you want. What's important is that it convinces you that this thing has already happened and that it's already done. Okay. So that is the video for you guys today. I have been like sitting on this video for a while because this happened like a couple months ago. But I wanted to make it from within my apartment. So yeah, so that's that, you guys. And just sending just love and encouragement and upliftment to anybody that's in this situation, because I just know how fucking stressful. I think moving, even when all your ducks are in a row, moving can just be stressful. But when you have something that really seems like it is hindering you and you can't get what you want, or that you need someone else to be able to get what you want, it's a horrible feeling. So I'm just sending love and blessings and encouragement and big faith to you guys that are going through this situation yourself. And please let me be proof, not only this story, but all of these other fucking stories, you guys. Like, I promise I'm going to put that link in the description. I've done this time and time again. It has not failed me yet, you guys. So please just have faith, you guys. That's the gist of it. It's not about the technique. It's not about anything. You know, SATS is just what works for me, but have the faith, have the knowing that you are above the shit. Nothing is impossible to God. What is impossible in the world of Caesar is not impossible to God. And God is that is within you, working as you. Okay. So I love you guys so much. I will see you guys soon in another